back, everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. My name is Jason. I'll be your host on this CFL talk show, East Huddle. In this video, we go over the East Final. I'm really excited between the Hamilton Tigercats and the Toronto Argonauts. I'm just really looking forward to seeing this matchup for the 5th time this season. They kind of use this condensed schedule this year to kind of feature some of these rivalries around the league. So, really excited for this East preview here. But really quickly before we get started, if you want to support the show, the best way to do it is by hitting the like button and subscribing to East Final for more CFL content just like this. I greatly appreciate it, everybody. And with that said, let's get into what you need to know. So this game is taking place on Sunday, December 5th at 1 p.m. Eastern at BMO Field in Toronto. The 9-5 Argos winning this season's series 3-1 over the 8-6 Tigercats. The Argos went an impressive 6-1 at BMO Field this season. Really impressive home record. Their one loss actually came the last game of the season when they really just set everybody. And so they've been a really impressive team at home this season, and they look to keep that going in the East Final. The Tigercats, meanwhile, went 3-4 on the road this season. Not the most impressive record there. The Argos are seeking their first Grey Cup appearance since 2017 when they upset Calgary in a great Grey Cup Classic. And then the Tigercats are looking to host their first home Grey Cup since 1972. So a ton on the line for Hamilton this weekend. Now let's dive into the team stats. You'll see that I don't really take a whole lot away from the team stats in this particular matchup because I think with Toronto, a lot of these stats are pretty misleading. You look at the yards per game on both defense and offense, they finished 7th in the league in both, and yet they finished with a 9-5 record. I think the reason is because of their very opportunistic, they take the ball away, and these are some stats that I didn't list here just for time's sake and putting together these videos. I would give Toronto actually the edge on offense in this game. I think they've actually been the more consistent team week to week this year, and the yards don't really show it. They're very good at keeping drives alive. They're much more of a sustainable offense than the Hamilton Tigercats have been this season. And then for the total defense, I think Hamilton has the slightly better defense out of the two teams when they're playing their best, but Toronto, very opportunistic, a lot of big-time defensive plays this season. They must lead the league in defensive touchdowns this year. Anyway, not too much to take away from the team stats here, but just wanted to lay this all out and show you just how tight these two teams have been so far this season. And now let's dive into the quarterback comparison here between Jeremiah Masoli for the Hamilton Tigercats on your left and McLeod Bethel-Thompson for the Argonauts on your right. And you know, when you look at the total team record, 4-5 this season for Masoli. These stats, by the way, are not including the playoff games. It's just easier to compile the stats for all of the players using the regular season numbers. Really an up and down season for Masoli, in my opinion. I mean, he's played very well against some of the bottom dwellers of the CFL this season. Think the games against Ottawa, Edmonton, and that 3-game winning streak against BC as well. That's really the best stretch he had this season. His numbers were pretty lacking before then. So I think Masoli hasn't done really enough to me to trust him in a game like this. They didn't really do a whole lot last week, except the key was that the Tigercats did not turn the ball over, which I give the Tigercats offense a lot of credit for. But they really didn't get much consistent offense going. Most of their points came right off Montreal turnovers. Really interested to see how Masoli performs in this game, especially after the last time he played these guys. He played awful and really cost his team a chance at hosting this East Final against the Argonauts here. Now for McLeod Bethel-Thompson, 7-2 record this season. I mean, not the most impressive numbers in the world here, and you'll see that Masoli actually, because of that really hot 3-game stretch, he actually finished with much better numbers than McLeod Bethel-Thompson this season, but I don't think these numbers tell the whole story. I think McLeod's had a lot of really good games where he actually should have more touchdowns than that, but he also was only the starter for 9 games this season. I think McLeod, the key with him is just the consistency, and both of these guys are very inconsistent quarterbacks, but I think that McLeod Bethel-Thompson, he really has all the tools that you need to be successful. at the CFL level in terms of the arm strength and the pocket presence. He's not a guy that can take off and run, and he's just definitely not the most mobile guy in the world. So I'm really interested to see how Hamilton gets the pressure on him in this game. But when Toronto's played Hamilton this year, McLeod-Bethel-Thompson has been very good at beating this team in the short passing game and taking that pass rush for Hamilton out of the game. So I think McLeod-Bethel-Thompson's had a pretty good season. He was this team's most outstanding player nominee for a reason. Not the most impressive year, obviously, but a down year across the league, really. But I think McLeod-Bethel-Thompson, he's proved a lot of guys wrong this year. He was the better quarterback this year in Toronto between him and Nick Arbuckle. So I'm really interested to see how he performs in his first career CFL playoff start here. Now let's dive into 3 matchups that I really think are going to be key to this game for both sides. So number 1 is the Hamilton DBs versus the Toronto wide receivers after the catch. I really think the short passing game is really what has killed the Tigercats playing the Argos this season. I think especially back to the second game in the series, the Labor Day rematch, where Nick Arbuckle actually just found these receivers on second down, and these receivers just found ways to make plays after the catch. Guys like Ricky Collins Jr., Curly Gittins Jr., you got a lot of good players that are really good after the catch for the Argos, and just a really great receiving core in general. But I think the focus is really that short passing game that the Tigercats really need to play some tight coverage in this one and not allow the Argos to really gain yards after the catch, where they really thrive as an offense. Now the second one is Jeremiah Mazzoli versus this Argos secondary, and this is just a very broad thing, but Mazzoli had his chances. As bad as he played in that last matchup against the Argonauts, the second last week of the regular season, he had his chances to make plays in that game early, and he just flat out missed them, and his accuracy just failed him. That's really been the problem with Mazzoli. He'll have these occasional games where it's just like the accuracy's just not there. But I think the key is the Argos did give him those opportunities, and we'll see if the Argos give him those same opportunities. Does he capitalize in this one? Because he absolutely has the ability to do that. It's just, does he do it on a consistent basis? I don't think so. So watch out for that in this game. The Argos secondary has been very opportunistic. Jalen Collins made an amazing play the last time they played. Actually had an amazing game. I think he had 2 picks in that game of Jeremiah Mazzoli. So I'm interested to see how this matchup plays out, and it's going to be obviously very key. I think the passing game is just going to weigh very heavily in this game. And then the final one is Sean Oakman at defensive tackle for the Toronto Argonauts. Really dominant season, honestly, and not really getting talked about enough as a really good story coming out and really reviving a career that was once very promising for him. And he's going to be matching up with an outstanding Tigercats interior offensive line of Brandon Revenberg and Darius Sirocco. Going to be really interested to see who wins this matchup. Oakman really has had some good games against the Tigercats this season, so we'll see how he does in this one as just a dominant force in the middle. So those are just 3 matchups I think are going to be really key to deciding who wins this game. Now let's talk about X factors. So for the Tigercats, I'm going with wide receiver Brandon Banks, who has started to heat up a little bit in the last few weeks. He's had a really disappointing season, obviously, coming off the MOP campaign in 2019. But he's starting to heat up the last 4 weeks. I think he has 3 touchdowns, and he actually was the Tigercats' best receiver on the field last week. Honestly, I think he was the most impactful player on that offense last week. So I think he's hitting up, and we've just yet to see that one breakthrough game. I don't think he has a 100-yard game on the season. Does he get it here? Just throwing it out there. And then for the Argos, pretty similarly, defensive end Charleston Hughes, who's had a remarkable CFL career, obviously, but it seems like this year has kind of caught up to him a bit physically, just not being able to stay healthy and impactful as he once was in the past and just has been for so long. But does he have a little bit more left in the tank? Maybe he gets a big sack in this game. Who knows? These veteran players that have played in these big games before, I think they're going to be leaned on a lot by these 2 teams. So in spite of these players having disappointing seasons, I absolutely could see these 2 guys having a big impact on their teams this Sunday. Now finally, let's go on to my score predictions, and I have the Toronto Argonauts beating the Hamilton Tigercats by a score of 20-17. really don't feel confident about it. The Argos just seem like they have the Tigercats numbered this year, and they're the more consistent team offensively, in my opinion. I mean, what could really throw a wrench into this game is if McLeod Bethel-Thompson has one of his occasional high turnovers game. But I think that Mazzoli has been much more up and down this year against the better teams. He has not performed this year, so I really can't take much confidence coming from last week's win over Montreal, because I mean, he really didn't have to do much to win that game, to be honest. So I really do trust Toronto more, especially how well they played at home this year. So I'm actually going to go with the Argos to win this game. And I mean, I really could see the Hamilton Tigercats winning this one, but I got to go with Toronto here. I just think they're a much more complete team, and they just find a way to win this year. And I just think they just have this vibe at BMO Field. They'll find a way to take down the Tigercats in this one. But with that said, that is going to be the end of today's video, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to thank each and every one of you for watching. Once again, my name is Jason. If you want to support the channel, the best way to do it is by hitting the like button and subscribing to Aussies Huddle for more CFL content just like this. I greatly appreciate it. And with that said, let me know who's going to win in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.